Hey, welcome back to another D5 video. So excited about these D5 videos. I think D5 is really the next game-changing rendering engine. Today we're going to look at HDRI, no matter what rendering engine you're using. HDRIs are so important. What does it stand for? High Dynamic Range Image. And what does it do? Well, it sets the visual mood for your rendering. Visual mood is one of the most important things in your rendering. All right, let's jump into it. D5 HDRI. Okay, where do you find HDRI? It is in the upper right under Environment tab, HDRI, and you see right away you get this really like super bright one, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So what are the default HDRI images? They are images, and we'll look further into that in a little bit. But we have a whole bunch of them that come with D5. So for example, if I just change it to Sunset Glow, we're going to see that the image just gets softer, more subdued. So the rendering takes on the physical properties of the HDRI. What can you do with it? Well, you can move this HDRI around. So let's take a look at moving it around. What do I mean by moving it around? Well, changing the position of the sun. So if you just click on the little up arrow here to get rid of it, then you can see the rotate. So we can rotate this around, okay, and we can move the placement of the sun. We can lower the intensity or raise the intensity. Now the area of effect, I like to use all. And what's cool about D5 is you can change the color temperature of the HDRI. I find that to be really helpful. And then you can add the sun into it. Okay, and you can increase the sun's intensity. So this is for shadows. And under direction down at the bottom, you want it to be follow HDRI so that the sun position is linked to the HDRI's position. So if we rotate this around a little bit, we can start to see some shadow taking effect. And if I turn the sun off, you see it just gets a little softer. It's a little more pronounced when the sun intensity is added into it, and you can raise and lower the sun intensity. You can do all these sorts of things that you typically were able to do with just the sun by itself. I'm constantly like rotating these things around just to see. Okay, so that seems like about it, right? But there's more to it because you're going to want to be able to use more HDRIs than what are available to you. So what do? Well, you head on over to Polyhaven. Polyhaven.com used to be HDRI Haven. I think they had two separate sites, HDRI Haven and Polyhaven, and they've now combined them together. And this is a great place to find a lot of things for renderings. But under Assets, you can go to HDRIs. And there are just so many HDRIs to choose from. I'm going to scroll over here. And I'm going to go to Urban. So I'm just going to download, 3 of these. So I'm going to go down to Urban, and I'm just kind of taking a look at these. I like this one. It's kind of like, like a dusk shot. So I'm going to click on that. Now, when you download these, depending on how high of a resolution your image is, you don't need to be downloading 4K 84.45 megabytes. I'm just making 2K images. So I would download based on what your output resolution is. So I'm going to pick 2K. And I'm going to choose HDR as the file type. So 2K HDR. And I'm going to go ahead and download that. You see it's a pretty small file, 6.9 megabytes. Okay, let's grab a few other ones. Let's go to skies. And I'm trying to pick some that are really different. Like this one has some clouds into it. It's another sunset. We do so many sunset and night renderings, isn't that true? I keep because I like the color sky. I like the the little bit of yellow hues in it. All right, here's one with some clouds just to kind of see. It's on a golf course. We'll see what that looks like. So again, 2K HDR. Go ahead and download that. And we'll go for one more. Let's go back to HDRIs. We have some studio settings just for fun. This one's kind of interesting because it's got some bright blue colors. we'll go for it. All right, let's head on back over to D5. Okay, so we're gonna add a custom HDRI. So under the pull down for the HDRIs at the bottom now, you'll see customize HDR. And then we can pick our customized ones that we just downloaded. Let's go with the evening sunset, which was like the more subdued one. So you can see it really changes the feel of the image. Let's rotate this around. You see how it's changing the sun's position as I rotate, and the building is really soft. We're going to talk about how to get rid of the background in Photoshop because we're going to need to do that. But let's just look at these three really quick. So we saw this one is a real soft feel. That's the visual mood to it. If I go back to customize HDRI, I'm going to choose, this was the golf course one. So it's just more like a daytime setting. You know, just remember, just go down the list and change all the number sliders. That's the best way to really see how things are working for you. So, you know, don't be afraid to go to each and every number slider. So this is more like a day. The sun is really strong and intense, so we can see that happening. And then our last one was this studio one. I'm kind of interested to see. Yeah, okay, so there's like tons of light coming in through those windows, which is pretty cool. You can imagine how that would work for an interior image. So this is like strong, really strong white light. I'm gonna go with the first one, which was the more subdued one, which was this one. Let me get a good position on that. I also like ones with a lot of color, and we didn't download this one. I downloaded it separately, but I have this Shanghai one, and it actually has some real color to it, and if I make adjustments to that, I can kind of see that color kind of changing here. I think I'm gonna go with this one just because it's so vibrant, and you see the reflections on the marble I have there. Okay, we're gonna render this out. So let's go to camera. We got to do some things here in camera. So I'm going to make a new scene so I don't lose my old scene, which has a different lighting scenario. So I'm going to do a new scene, and this is my exterior HDRI. That's going to be that one. And so down at the bottom, so I have, so the camera is set up. So I'm gonna rotate this a little bit lower. Okay, I'm gonna make it 16:9. My field of view, I'm gonna leave at 20. And okay, so what's important here is the channels. Okay, so I'm going to turn the channels on, and I'm only going to move I keep getting in the way. I'm going to go to turn the channels on, and I'm going to click this little more settings button, and I only need, we're going to talk about these in a later video, but I only need the sky mask. I want to change the sky out in Photoshop. That's the whole goal here. Okay, and I'm just doing a custom rendering right now. I'm not going very high resolution, and I'm going to go ahead and click render, and I'm just saving that as a PNG file. Now it's going to create two files. It's going to create the rendering, and then it's going to create the sky mask file, and we're going to merge those two together in Photoshop. Okay, real-time rendering does take some time. I know that joke's going to get old. 25 seconds. Okay, we're going to go over to Photoshop, and we're just going to open, I'm going to start first with the rendering. Okay, so here's the rendering. And the first thing we're going to look at is how to get rid of the sky. Well, I can't get rid of the sky here in this image by itself. It doesn't have that information. I actually need to overlay the sky mask file. So I'm just going to do a Control A for select all, Control C for copy, and then I'm going to go over to my rendering, and then I'm going to do Control V to paste it in. Okay, so now you see that. So I recommend, naming these. So this is my original render, and this is my sky mask, just so you have the sky mask. Okay, I'm going to take the original render. I don't want to confuse you, but what I want to do is I want to take the original render, Control J, and make a copy of it, and then turn off the original, because I'm going to manipulate this, and I always want to keep my original layer. So on the sky mask layer, I'm just going to go to main menu, select color range, and I'm going to set the number slider, the fuzziness, all the way up to 200, and then I'm going to click the black area and click OK. And now I have a selection of the background. I like to save my selection so I can access some layer. So I'm going to main menu, select, and I'm going down to save selection. And I'm going to call this one sky background. Okay. So I can turn off this sky mask layer. I'm going to actually drag it down to the bottom. And on the original render copy, I'm just going to delete. So I'm going to delete the background. Okay, so that background is gone. And now I'm going to make a new layer where I add the sky into it. So I'm going to do Shift Control N. We're doing a lot of Photoshop shortcuts today. This is going to be new sky gradient. Make that current. Now I want to set my gradient colors and my foreground and background colors. So I'm going to bring back that original render and take some color out of it. So sample some color out of it, basically. So I'm gonna sample this like purple, and then my background I'm gonna sample like I'm gonna do like a yellow, something like that. And then on my new sky gradient, I'm going to place that under the render, and I'm going to just use the gradient tool, and I'm going to start from the top. Okay, so I need to set this. I need to make sure that this is set under basics. Under basics, foreground, background. There, now we have it. And it's a smart one. You know, I don't want too much yellow. I want more purple. All right, there's my background layer, and I can do things like image adjustments, hue saturation, where I can saturate this. Now it's a smart layer, so that's always a little tricky with the smart layer. So let's see if it lets me do it. It's grayed out because it's a smart layer. So I could either change the color, or I can just right click, and I can choose to rasterize this layer. Now it's just a rastered layer. I could get rid of the layer mask. I don't need that. So now it's just a good old regular layer where I can do things like image adjustments. I can do a couple things here that I like. I like brightness contrast, because then I can make it more punchier. I can darken it. I can lighten it. And then I also like main menu image adjustments, hue saturation. So these skies, they're just so important. You see how they just set the tone for the image. They're just so important. And the HDRI, the way it lights it, is a real game changer. So you wanna be doing this. Some time in D5 with HDRIs, and some time in Photoshop with the sky background. All right, that's it for this video. Stay tuned for my next D5 video. See you on the next one.